Hi, I'm Jamie Azios. Thanks to Project Bridge and IARC for the opportunity to talk about social connection and aphasia groups, and do they matter? So the question I'm answering today is, what difference does social connection or groups make? First, let's look at social connection. Does social connection matter? Generally speaking, social inclusion or being involved in social activities is a good thing, and social isolation or being excluded from activities is a bad thing. We know from several studies that for people with stroke and aphasia, being socially active helps to increase participation in daily activities, increase quality of life, increase self-esteem, increase hope, and increase opportunities for real-world language use. But social isolation has been shown to increase the risk of having another stroke, increase risk of death, increase risk of depression, decrease sleep quality, and decrease general well-being. Now on to aphasia groups. Do aphasia groups matter? The answer is yes. Aphasia groups improve the ability to use language, especially when trying to find a specific word or describe a picture or tell a story. Aphasia groups improve the ability to maintain those language gains, especially when groups are focused on real life, everyday communication activities. Aphasia groups improve the ability to reestablish a new and positive identity after stroke and aphasia. And aphasia groups can help people with aphasia make more friends and increase your social network. But does it need to be an aphasia group? The answer is no. Stroke support groups can be just as good in terms of psychological or emotional impact and a positive sense of self. Online groups can work too. Studies tell us that the same gains can be made when groups are delivered online. And also, aphasia groups don't need to be run by speech-language pathologists. Groups run by volunteers or people with aphasia can be just as beneficial. But are there any negatives? Unfortunately, there may be challenges to participating in an aphasia group, especially with people who have more severe forms of aphasia. Some people with aphasia have told us that groups can be risky and overwhelming. Other people with aphasia have said that they experience negative feelings and they don't feel included in groups. And some people with aphasia have said that aphasia groups aren't worth the time. What is this answer based on? Over the last 50 years, studies have continued to show us that group therapy works for people with aphasia. A recent review on aphasia groups included 177 papers of aphasia groups. And of those 177 papers, 68 were peer-reviewed, meaning they had to be read and evaluated and approved before they could be published. So the evidence for group therapy is strong, and all different kinds of studies show promising outcomes. This triangle shows different kinds of studies, and some studies can show stronger levels of evidence than others. So as you get closer to the top of the pyramid, the evidence increases. Papers published on aphasia group therapy show positive outcomes in studies at the bottom of the pyramid and at the top of the pyramid. So what will happen next? There's still a lot of work to do. We need to understand what kinds of groups work better than others. We need to understand how to measure real-world communication as an outcome or as a result of group therapy. And finally, we need to ensure that all people with aphasia have access to group therapy, especially people who have severe aphasia, people with aphasia who are early on in their aphasia journey, and people with aphasia who live in areas where therapy isn't an option. So thank you for your attention and the opportunity to speak to you today.